All right, everyone. Thank you for joining me again. Tonight I have head coach from Jackson Memorial, Sean Bayha. Did I pronounce it right?
Bayha.
Bayha, Coach Bayha from Jackson Memorial. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Thanks for having me.
We got a bunch to talk about. Very good team over there in Jackson. So first, I just want to, when did you start coaching, and what made you get into coaching?
Well, I've been coaching at Jackson Memorial ever since I started teaching there back in 2002. So this is my, what are we going on, 18th year of being in the school. I've been coaching there ever since. I just have growing up, I love sports, and coaching was just something natural to gravitate towards once I got into the high school.
Did you play soccer? Was that like your main sport, or?
No, I wouldn't say compared to some of the other coaches, I wouldn't say I was a soccer guy growing up. Soccer was something I played, but I was more of a baseball player in high school. I played on the soccer team, but soccer is something that, my passion has grown more as I've gotten into the coaching world from it.
It's funny you said that, because when I was younger, I never wanted to play soccer, and then I started coaching when my dad made me get my coach's license when I was 15, and now it's my favorite sport. So it's funny, how coaching could draw you to a sport that you didn't really care for playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when did you take over as head coach for Jackson Memorial?
Okay, so I took over. This is going to be my second year. So last year was my first year. Like I said, I've been on staff for about 17 years. Drew Gibson was our head coach, and I was a JV coach. And I was pretty content in that role. And, he was the coach for the last 17 years. Had just an amazing run at the school. I think they won 2 sectional championships, a short conference tournament, numerous, division titles. So just a great career. And then probably last spring, he announced to the team that he was going to step down. And at that time, I thought it's something I really like to do, and I wanted to stay on with it. So I just put my name in for it, and fortunately, was able to get it. So last year was my first season, and now here we are back again for a second run at it.
Yeah, Jackson Memorial has like you said, long history of being a successful program. Do you think a lot has to do with the Jackson youth soccer program, feeding in?
I think it definitely has a role. The youth program definitely helps to cultivate a love of the sport. Definitely for the girls at the younger age when they first get out started. But I think it's also a culmination of I think with the girls themselves. They love the sport, and they venture out to play at the highest level they can. We have numerous girls that play at different clubs and academies. So I would say the Jackson Soccer Club definitely plays a productive role, positive role for us. We have a good relationship with them, but I also think it's also just the internal makeup of the girls as well, that they strive to play at the highest level that they possibly can play at.
Yeah, you get pretty similar answer to, I guess, Dana, coach over at Jackson Liberty, the same question. You basically gave almost the same exact answer. It's like a lot of passion,
All right.
a lot of passion, and so I mean, that's good. That means that's what's going on in Jackson. If both Jackson coaches are saying the same thing.
No, they definitely we are very happy to have a good working relationship with the program as a feeder program for us. So it's definitely a good positive relationship.
Yeah, and everything's a lot different from when I coached, because there was no such thing as academy soccer back then. Now, last year you guys had a great regular season. To me, probably one of the toughest schedules regular season, which you got rewarded with. You guys were the 1 seed in states and sure. Talk about some accomplishments that your team had last season.
Yeah. So yeah, we did have a really. I guess last year it depends on what lens you want to view our season through. So if you want to view it through a lens that we were pretty much under the radar, we weren't a preseason top 10 pick for the short conference, in the top 10 list there. And I don't know how many people thought we were going to win the division title. So we were kind of a little bit flying under the radar there. But really, our first goal was just to get back to playing Jackson soccer the way that we used to play it in the past. Hardest working team that we possibly could be. having fun off the field as well, enjoying it, just being part of a community. And then once we got back onto the field, for our goals, obviously our first goal was to win our division. And that was a very, difficult division, obviously, to play in. A South is a very difficult division. We were able to accomplish that. We went unbeaten through A South. I think some of that has to do with the way we schedule in the preseason to get us ready for the season. We always try and play up. We traditionally play teams that might be better than us just to get us prepared for the gauntlet of A South. So last couple of years, we've been fortunate enough to play Eastern, Cinnamon, Middletown South. We scrimmaged last year. That was an awesome scrimmage. Turned out, at the time, I didn't realize how good it was going to be. Turned out to be, a preview of 1 versus 2 in the short conference tournament there. So that was an awesome scrimmage. This year, we were going to do the same thing. We had Ocean City lined up to scrimmage
State
as well.
Yeah.
So that was going to be another, really good test for us. Out of conference last year, I would say one highlight obviously was winning A South, because that was just a great journey for the girls, just a tremendous moment. But I would say out of conference last year, the Mountains versus Sea Festival that we participated in.
Yep.
We got to play Huddington Central,
which ended up winning the state title too.
And they ended up finishing #1 in the state,
Yep.
and we were the only team to hang a loss on them. And that was just an amazing game for the girls, to be a part of. So I would say out of conference, that definitely has to be ranked at the top of our achievements. And then we had some nice quality wins out of conference. We beat Freehold Township, as well. So I would say definitely through that lens, it was definitely a very, very productive season when you view it through that, through that frame.
I didn't get to go, see the Hunterdon Central, but for the people that don't know outside of Shore Conference, I saw Hunterdon Central play Freehold in states, and they were the most impressive team I saw all season. So that's how big of a victory that is.
Yeah, they had,
Gatorade Player of the Year.
They have great players. They had great players at every line, and they have they had the girl Emily Mason in the back who's going to Rutgers. They had I think her last name is Zuzu. I may be mispronouncing it, but Suzuzu. She's a really top-notch forward who ended up going to the University of South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
They just had a really, really deep quality program, and that was a great game for us.
Yeah. Now, going into states, going to Shore Conference, you're 1 seed. You end up playing Rumson, who to me, I think they were a higher ranked team than where they were. End up losing that game. And then you guys, there was like a long gap until states. Do you think that affected, ended up losing in the first round, which I heard Clearview should have been ranked higher.
Well, we'll start on the short conference. You can always argue rankings, and it's all subjective about who you think should be ranked where and who beat whom and things like that. We were very, happy that we got the 1 seed. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what your seed is. You got to beat 4 or 5 really quality teams to win the short conference tournament. So your seeding might come out and you might be happy with who your first round matchup is, and then you might not be so happy who your second round matchup is. At the end of the day, you got to beat quality programs. And we knew coming in that Rumson Fairhaven was a quality program.
Mm-hmm.
We had scrimmaged them in the preseason, and we tied. We knew they had a very good girl in the back, and we knew that they were really lightning fast up top. And they're one of these old school teams that still has a lot of multiple sport athletes that play different sports, 3 sports, like a throwback, 3 sports star girls. And they have some natural soccer players up top that definitely pressured our back line. But then when they would get a break and sub in, they put in some athletes that play basketball and lacrosse who may not naturally be overly gifted soccer players, but they just constantly had great athleticism. And that was a game that went to overtime, and they slowly wore us down as the game went on. And, I give them credit for that. They definitely beat us, and they earned that win. But to me, that wasn't as disappointing as you say the Clearview game was, because, again, I'm not going to take anything away. Clearview beat us.
Yeah.
But like you said, there was a long gap between games, and that has to do with the way the schedule worked out last year. Generally, the short conference tournament had been a 2-week tournament where it kind of ended on a Saturday somewhere around Halloween-ish, and then the states would start on the next Monday.
Yeah.
It'd be a short turnaround, especially for the teams that did really well. So last year they kind of stretched it out to almost 2.5 weeks. which, it was nicer and it kind of ended a little earlier. So you had more time to get ready for states. I understood that philosophy, but for us, it wasn't good. It didn't work out well because we lost early on to Rumson, and we had no other games scheduled on our schedule.
Yeah.
So now I'm out trying to find games to play, and at that time, the only teams really that are out there looking for games were teams that were lower seeded in the short conference, and they're trying to get ready for their own state tournament, and they really don't have as much interest in playing us as we did them. So I had a very hard, difficult time finding games, and it turned out uh, during the season we had multiple stretches where we played probably 4 games in 6 days, just the way
Yeah.
the season worked out. And then we got to that point where we lost to Rumson, and we had 17 days off before we played Clearview. We played 1 game over that 17-day period. We picked up Middletown North, but we had a lot of time off. It almost seemed like you were kind of going back to preseason mode, where it was just practice after practice after practice. And I definitely think that we lost a little bit of that edge. I think that's definitely a factor in it. But at the end of the day, it is soccer, and some things don't usually work out the way you think they're going to do. And Clearview got an early goal on us, and we kind of dominated the second half against Clearview. It was weird, but we had the ball in their half pretty much the entire second half. We really never had a quality shot or, on goal. I mean, it was just one of these weird games. It just didn't work out for us that day. So it was disappointing when you look at our season from that point of view, that we were the #1 team in the Shore and the #2 team in South Jersey Group 5, and we didn't advance past the round of 16. So that is definitely something that's been stuck in the back of our minds this offseason.
Yeah, and I saw something similar in basketball the year prior. One of the top teams in the Shore got eliminated in Shore Conference, and there was a huge gap because they had a bye in states, and they couldn't get anybody on the schedule. And they came out that first state game against a very not a good team, flat, and they were losing going like with 6 minutes left in the game. It just shows when teams have those big gaps.
Yeah, momentum definitely plays a factor in it, and it's a long time between games.
Yeah. I want to talk about a couple of seniors now. Compared to some other schools, your class didn't seem senior heavy. I think, would you have 4 or 5 seniors that graduated?
Yeah, we had 5.
Okay.
So we had Natalie Knopf, who was a second team All Shore striker for us. Really had a very nice season. Went on to Bentley College.
She was very fun to watch the games I went to.
Yeah, very, very skilled with the ball. Just had a natural knack for finishing. We had a senior captain in the back in Smink.
Yep.
Who did a really great job for us. Leader on the back there for us. She went on to Rowan. We had another senior outside back, Fiona Messer, who came back her senior year from playing in academy. Really was a nice contributing factor for us, and she went on to Rowan as well. And then we had a couple of these under the radar role players, but Lindsay Beal last year was like a Swiss Army knife for us. She played all over the field for us. #1 sub off the bench, started sometimes. Just a quality program girl that you need if you want to be a top flight program. You need girls like that. She went on to she's going to school at Brookdale now. And then we had Christina Donza, who was, in terms of character, in terms of showing the girls what it means to work hard and to be a great teammate. Obviously basketball was her primary sport, but she also was on the soccer team. And as far as, her character was off the charts last year in showing girls just, how to be an awesome teammate, because her playing time or her role on the field was minimal in soccer, but her impact was huge.
Yeah, I've gotten to know Christina and her family well over basketball season, and I questioned them almost all the time. Why did Christina play soccer? Knowing how they were going to go for a state title as well, but that's just her competitive nature. And she was actually the first girl when I started this interview series, the first person that said she's down for it, and she's just a natural leader. You can just tell by talking to her what her goals set for the future. Can't say enough about Christina, like you said.
Yep, absolutely.
Yeah. Who do you think transition into this season, you're going to take over those leadership roles for your team from the seniors.
So we have a really solid senior class this year. It may not necessarily be names that people outside of our program know about, and that's to me is the unfortunate part. I think we have two players that would I don't want to step out over the line, but I would say we have two players that would play and start on any program in the Shore Conference as seniors. And the first one is Krista Lauro. She's a 4-year defender for us. She's going to be going off to Towson next year. She's really just one of the heart and soul of our team in the back. She plays so hard. Her work ethic is off the charts. And pre-COVID, we had a little bit of rough winter for the Jaguars. Krista tore her ACL down in a tournament for PDA. I want to say in late January, and so I saw her back in school sometime in around early February. I see her walking down the hallway. She refuses to use the crutch. She's like hopping, and she's like, she's explaining to me what happens, and I'm, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, all right, well, obviously she's out this season. I just want to see her get back healthy and go off to college. She's like, no, I'll be back. And I'm like, all right, Krista, but let's just take it slow, whatever. She had surgery I want to say around Valentine's Day.
Okay.
I want to say that she was a #1 participant in our summer workouts. She was as fit as any player we have in the entire program, and now she's cleared to play.
Oh, that's
so
great.
I mean, she's had an amazing journey to get back. You can't say enough about her character and work ethic. And so she's one of our two pillars for seniors. The other one is Hannah Reese, who kind of flies under the radar, which I don't quite understand, but I think any coach in America would want Hannah on her team. When you want someone who does everything right, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's on the field, Hannah does everything right that you need. She's awesome leader. She used to be someone that just led by example, and her work ethic was off the charts. So I'll just give you a quick example of what kind of work ethic I'm talking about. She would be in the summer, back before she would be able to drive, she would ride her bike to practice.
Oh, wow.
And like she didn't live down the street, in Jackson. She lived pretty far away. So she'd ride her bike to practice, be the hardest worker in practice, lift after practice, go ride her bike back home. All right. Like that's the kind of work ethic, most kids are, you got a 2-hour practice. They show up 5 minutes for practice and they can't wait. They're looking at their Apple Watch, counting down the minutes to get out of there.
Mm-hmm.
Her work ethic is just off the charts. And on the field, she's just such an outstanding player for us at defensive center mid. So last year, I believe she was all A South for us last year. But again, recognition-wise, I really wish that more people would know about her and that she gets to do that she deserves. But those two are our starting point for seniors. And then we have 3 other girls that really complement them really well. We got Lauren Del Grippo, who's a 3-year player for us at forward. Just a really great complementary piece. Works so hard. She looks awesome in the few workouts that we've been able to have since we got back live. And we're really excited what she's going to be able to do. We have Jess Wanzer, who's another 3-year player for us up top. I saw your interview with Coach Lawrence, and he talked about sisters.
Yep.
The importance of having sisters, and this is the third or fourth Wanzers, the third of 4 Wanzers to play in the program. That family's had a huge impact on us, and Jess is going to be able to play with her sister this year, Renee, who's a freshman.
Oh.
So that's going to be very special, and Jess is going to go on to Bloomsburg College next year to play soccer. And then our fifth senior is kind of similar to Lindsay Beal, another program girl. Her name's Madison Faulkner. Just awesome girl, super hard worker, a girl that's just paid her dues, waited on the side, just never, for her opportunity. And while her opportunity didn't come too much last year, she just kept working and working and working. And now this year is her shot to play, and we're really excited to see what she's going to be able to do for us this year. So I really like our senior class.
Yeah. So, like you said, Hannah, I don't know how she flew under the radar either, because, every game, that I went to of yours, she stood out on the field. I want to talk about, Brooke, the goalie. How is she healthy to go? Because I was at that game, basketball. I was at that game, and it was an ugly game.
Yeah. So like I said, the Jaguar off season was rough. Like Krista Laurel, as I mentioned before, tore ACL, and then 2 weeks later, Brooke goes down, and I got that message, and like I had a knot in my stomach when I actually saw it first on. I think it was reported on social media that just a Jackson player was down, and they didn't really identify the player. And like I'm like, with the luck we're having, you know what, it's probably Brooke, and unfortunately, it did turn out to be Brooke. And she suffered a more serious injury than Krista, so no, she's out for the season.
Oh,
But she's another one that's been here all summer long, working hard. Where she's right on track where she needs to be with her rehab, but just the timing of it for when she got hurt. She's probably back for a PDA season in the spring, which is good. But for this fall season for high school, no, she won't be able to participate.
That's a blow. Especially I thought I was at the game. The refs, let it get out of control. Marlboro also had a couple big injuries that their star point guard couldn't play the next round in the short conference. That's how.
Yeah. Coach Rachel Goodell's my assistant coach, and
Yep.
she let me know about the physicality of the game and what had happened. And for as good as our team was last year, I think Brooke you can make an argument that Brooke was our MVP last year. What she gave for us in goal.
Yeah,
she made some game altering saves for us, and we got some work to do to replace her.
Yeah. Any idea? Any front runner right now, or is that still being figured out?
Well, I mean, the good thing about the Jackson soccer program is we're not hurting for talent. So we're really upset that Brooke's not going to be able to be there. But the games have to go on, and we have two girls that are really battling out for goalie right now that we're really both high on. So we have a sophomore, Megan Anderson, who played JV primarily last year, just so that she can get experience while Brooke was playing, and did a good job. And we would bring her up occasionally. She got a little bit of time last year, and some games are lopsided. And then we have really an impact freshman coming in. Her name's Riley Miller, a really acclaimed club soccer goalie. These two are really battling it out, and it's really fun to watch in practice because it's just really a great competition. I'm not sure how it's going to play out now, but we're just fortunate that we have two quality options to look at.
I mean, that's great. Coach, after last season, lost an All-American, and I said, "Oh, your team's it's a big loss." And his words to me, I'm more concerned about the goalie that graduated because smaller schools have a hard time. Lucky, Jack's being a big school and always having good talent. You have some depth there.
Yeah, we're very fortunate.
Now you had a pretty strong, bunch of freshmen on your team. Any of them, standing out so far that might fly under the weather that are sophomores this year?
Yeah, so we like to try and be a quality program. We want to have that next wave of girls coming in through the pipeline. And to me, I think you want to take advantage of the resource you have when you're a freshman, that you have the opportunity to play with a Hannah Reese or Krista Laurel, who you never would get that opportunity in club because of the age gap, or even middle school soccer or whatever. The gap's too big.
Yep.
So we always like to bring up some freshmen, whether they're swing players or just people that are practicing with us, so that they get a sense of what it's all about, so that when the baton's passed to them, they're ready to go. To me, we have a girl who's definitely flying under the radar. Her name's Chloe Messer. She's a sophomore.
I know Chloe.
She's a really, really talented soccer player.
Yep.
And she's someone that I think by the end of the season, a lot of people in the short conference are going to know who she is. So we're expecting really big things from Chloe this year. So she would be one of those girls you mentioned that would be flying under the radar.
Yeah, Coach Goody jokes with me how I love my soccer players that are on the basketball court, and because Chloe stands out when she's on the court too, and you could always tell on defense who the soccer players are.
Yeah. And Chloe, I think basketball was great for her because it gave her a break from soccer. It got her a chance to see, how other people train. Gave her an environment where, she's probably always been one of the top players in her little bubble of soccer that she played with,
Uh-huh.
and now she's playing with, in an environment where she's not considered the lead dog. So I gave her, that gave her a good perspective just to see what it's like and watch other people that are, the seniors like Rachel Capia
Hmm.
and Christina Donzer, just watch their work ethic. So
Yep.
I think that was great for Chloe's, progression.
Yeah, and so I agree that you shouldn't be playing one sport 12 months out of the year. You need a break.
Yeah, no, we
Change it up.
definitely want the girls to get the full high school experience. So if they want to go play something else, we definitely encourage it.
Any other sophomores or incoming freshmen that you think might make some sort of impact this season?
Well, we have the sophomore group. Like I said, Chloe's definitely one that got the most minutes last year.
Hmm.
We have a couple other sophomores between Madison Orico, Abby Maroney, and Drew Carrera that all got time for us last year as freshmen. So we're counting on them to provide some quality minutes again for us this year, if not more. We're really excited about the freshman class that we got coming in. It's a solid group. We got at least 3 or 4 of them that are going to stick with us right now so far on varsity. We got Riley, who's in the goaltender battle.
Hmm.
We have Renee Wanzer, who's just a really, really quality defender, and she's going to be pushing people for playing time as a freshman. We have Maddie O'Neill, who is just a really all-around skilled technical player, knows the game really well, which is probably not a shock that since her father is a coach at Rutgers, so she's been around soccer,
Yep.
all her life. But she's just really, a fun player to watch. And then we have another freshman that's playing with us well, Haley Norville, another very good club player. So we're really happy about the freshman class that we have blended in with the sophomores. So we feel good about the underclassmen.
Yeah. I just want to, before we start wrapping up, I want just your schedule. Again, you're in a tough division. You got Brick Township, who I think is going to be similar to last year. You guys thought you guys controlled that game pretty well at that was at your place. Toms River North always tough. Toms River South was a younger team last year. They're up and coming. Just talk about your division a little bit, and because it really didn't change up that much compared to last season.
Yeah, and that's basically what we got this year because of the COVID schedule. We just basically have a division schedule. We're playing, you know, turn back the clock kind of thing, the way it wasn't back in the day in A South, where you play home and away, and I really like that myself, just personally. And I mean, our division's it's tough. It's just the bottom line. It's I call it a gauntlet. You gotta run the gauntlet when you play this division. Every team that you're gonna play, top to bottom, they got players. They can beat you on any given day. Like you said, Brick Township is a really good soccer program.
Yep.
They have some really talented players. Last year, we kind of circled that game on our schedule. That's something that was going to be a defining moment for us if we wanted to win the division. And the second half of that game might have been the best half of soccer we played. Uh, but again, Brick Township is a really quality program. I expect them to be very good again this year. Tom's River North, was probably the gold standard of the division for the longest time recently, and they got a lot of talented players, and they're going to be another tough team to play, especially when you got to go there and play on their turf. Tom's River South, like you said, was young, but they might have the most dynamic player in the division.
Andy's very good.
She's going to be, obviously she's going to be a threat every time she steps on the field to score, and you got to go there and play on turf on their field, which is a little different dimensions that we're used to than Jackson. And Brick Memorial obviously is extremely well coached. They're going to come out you, and you're going to get their best effort every single time. And the other, Southern Regional was one of those teams in the short conference that maybe flew under the radar.
Yeah.
But they had a lot of very good players. They returned some very good players. That's who we open up with. So they're a very quality program as well. So I mean, the division, for competition wise, is really good.
Yeah, it's probably in my opinion, the top division as far as competition and as teams leveled, pretty equally matched. Um, uh, how did you find how did you think and how was it um sorry, listen, my Twitter just went off. Um, the phases for that the state rolled out before September.
Yeah, I mean, from a coaching point of view, it's a challenge because it was a deviation from what you normally would like to get done in the summer, where you use it as a little bit of a preview for what the season's going to, become. But I think for what the girls went through in the spring, I was just happy to get back out on the soccer field,
Yep.
to be honest with you. And to me, I know we lost out on a lot of time where we could be doing contract drills and getting in some scrimmages. We usually would participate in a brick tournament in the preseason where we get 4 or 5 games in,
Okay.
even before the season started, just so we get a look at the girls. And we lost out on that as well. But to me, the losses in contact and drill time, live drills, they're diminished compared to the gains in like the girls' social, emotional, mental well-being. Just getting back out on the field, how happy they were to see each other. Getting back out to do what they love. Again, do I have to agree with every single
No.
decision that's made or the rules that we had to do? The way I explained it to the girls was, your parents have their own set of rules when you're in their house, and if you want to go sleep over at your friend's house, their parents may have different rules, and you may not agree with them, but if you want to sleep at the house, you got to follow them.
Yep.
And that's kind of like what we did here. I mean, we had 2 weeks of just ball work and conditioning, and then we slowly integrated into more drills with shooting and things like that without contact. And we made the most of what we could do. And I think it was, for what we had to work under, I think it was a productive summer. My administration at Jackson did an amazing job, from the superintendent to the principal to the athletic director to the athletic trainer. Just what they set up for us, how they got us through the screening process, the paperwork, just to get us back out in the field. To me, that it was just a great team effort, and we were just happy to be back out in the field. And now, last Monday we were able to go out and just turn it loose and do what we love.
Yeah, it's funny. Coach Caruso had me laughing because he said once you were able to go live, this Monday, he said all they're going to do is scrimmage. He goes, I don't want to see any more conditioning or skills. He goes, and I'm sure they don't want to hear me say we're going to do anymore.
Yeah, you definitely want to get a look at them in live situations.
Yeah, it's tough. Week and a half, a little over a week and a half to your coaches need to finalize varsity, JV, the bigger schools, and who's going to be starting. It's tough to do in a week and a half.
Yeah, and all the normal things that you would have in a normal season are gone.
Yep.
Like I said, we try and play over our heads with our scrimmage schedule, and that helps us decide who's going to be our starters. And normally we have 4 or 5 scrimmages, and this year we have 1.
Yeah,
it's a quality scrimmage. Don't get me wrong. We're playing Freehold Township,
Mhm.
which is a really good scrimmage, but we don't have the normal number of opportunities that we'd like to see.
That's the 25th, right?
I think it's a 24th. I think they want all scrimmages on the same day. It's a Thursday, so it's a week from today.
All right.
Yeah,
One
Thursday. Yeah.
one of the Freehold parents texted me saying that they were scrimmaging. Is that going to be your place or in Freehold?
It's at Freehold.
Okay, I'll try to get to that. Last question before we wrap up. What are some goals you think you could set? I mean, it's a different year. States are going to look different. Who knows if there's going to be a short tournament? Timetable wise, it doesn't look like there could be a short tournament, but who knows? What are some goals you're setting for your team this year?
We just want to get better day by day. We were just happy to be back out in the soccer field. We just want to be the best version of ourselves on the day that we're out there. We just want to go out there and do our job, do our part, and then gradually get better and better and better. Obviously, we'd like to win A South. That's all that is in front of us right now. That's all that our focus is on, is to win our division. And then, whatever the postseason, whatever form it might take, whatever shape it has, to do the best we can, in that environment.
All right, Coach. Thank you for joining me. It was a very good conversation we had. Learned a lot about Jackson. Good luck this season, and I'll hopefully see you on the sideline.
Yeah, thank you, and thank you for the coverage for the girls. I know they definitely appreciate it. I know girls soccer is something that may not be on the front burner, and I know they definitely appreciate the coverage. So, and I do as well. So, thank you.
That's my goal. Hopefully, I could change that where some of these media outlets, give a little more coverage to the soccer, especially the talent in this area.
Yeah, I agree.
So, all right. Thank you,
All
Coach.
right, awesome. Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye.